When I discovered my wife's hotel receipts showed double occupancy and room service for two during her solo business trips, I knew exactly how to use her company's strict ethics policy against her. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and let us know in the comments from which country you are watching this video. My name is Marcus Thompson, and I have been married to Diane for 7 wonderful years. Diane works as a regional sales manager for a major pharmaceutical company in our city. She travels constantly for business meetings and conferences throughout the entire country every month. I run a small home renovation business that allows me flexible schedule and steady income. Our marriage seems perfect with good communication and financial security from both our jobs. Diane brings home almost twice my salary, which helps us afford nice house and cars. I admire my wife's professional success and dedication to advancing her career in competitive industry. Diane always talks about difficult clients and exhausting travel schedules that demand her full attention. I support her career completely because she works incredibly hard to provide for our family. Her success makes me proud, and I never question her professional commitments or travel requirements. Diane maintains detailed expense reports and business documentation for her company reimbursement claims regularly and systematically. Twice every month, Diane packs her suitcase for business trips that last 3 to 4 days. She explains these trips involve client meetings, product presentations, and industry conferences that require overnight stays. Diane always seems stressed before traveling and tired when she returns home from work trips. She tells me stories about boring meetings, difficult customers, and long presentation days during travels. I listen supportively and help Diane relax after her exhausting business trips with massages and dinners. Diane's travel schedule has increased over the past year as she takes on bigger clients. She says the pharmaceutical industry is becoming more competitive and demanding for sales representatives. I trust Diane completely and never doubt her explanations about work requirements and travel obligations. Her dedication to career advancement impresses me, and I want to support her professional goals. Diane handles all her own travel arrangements and expense reporting without needing my assistance usually. She keeps business receipts and documentation organized in her home office for tax purposes annually. Last month during tax preparation season, I offered to help Diane organize her business expense receipts. She initially refuses my help, claiming her system works perfectly for her accounting needs. But I insist on helping because tax season stresses both of us, and teamwork makes everything easier. Diane reluctantly agrees to let me sort through her business receipts and expense documentation for taxes. I start organizing hotel receipts, restaurant bills, and transportation costs from her recent business trips. The receipts seem normal at first, with expected business travel expenses, like hotels and meals. But I begin noticing unusual charges that do not match Diane's descriptions of solo travel. Hotel receipts show double occupancy rates instead of single business traveler accommodation charges typically expected. Room service orders include meals for 2 people rather than individual business dinner expenses. Some receipts show spa treatments and couples massage services that seem inappropriate for business travel. The expense amounts are much higher than normal business travel costs should be for individual trips. I asked Diane about the unusual hotel charges and double occupancy rates on her receipts. She claims the hotels automatically charge double occupancy rates regardless of actual room usage for bookings. Diane says many business hotels have pricing policies that charge standard rates for all reservations. She explains that room service for 2 is cheaper than ordering multiple single meals separately. Diane insists that spa treatments help her relax after stressful client meetings and presentation days. Her explanations sound reasonable, but something feels wrong about the expense patterns I notice consistently. I decide to pay closer attention to Diane's business travel expenses and documentation going forward. The receipts suggest Diane is not traveling alone, like she claims for business purposes only. Someone else is sharing hotel rooms and meals during her supposed solo business trips regularly. I start questioning whether Diane tells me the complete truth about her work travel activities. The evidence suggests systematic deception about her business trip expenses and travel arrangements over many months. I continue examining more business travel receipts from previous months to look for patterns. The expensive hotel charges and double occupancy rates appear consistently across multiple business trips. Restaurant bills show romantic dinner expenses at upscale establishments rather than typical business meal costs. Many receipts are from luxury hotels and spas rather than standard business travel accommodations. The expense patterns suggest Diane treats her business trips like romantic vacations with someone else. I find receipts for expensive wine, champagne, and premium hotel amenities that exceed normal business travel. Diane's expense reports to her company probably do not include all these personal luxury charges. She likely pays for romantic expenses personally, while claiming legitimate business costs for reimbursement. The deception involves both her employer and our marriage through systematic lies about travel activities. I realize Diane has been conducting an affair during her business trips for months. The hotel receipts provide specific dates and locations where Diane stayed with her affair partner. I can cross-reference these dates with her claimed business meetings and conference schedules easily. Many of the locations do not match actual pharmaceutical industry events or client meetings. Diane has been lying about her destinations and purposes for business travel completely and systematically. She creates fake business justifications for romantic getaways with someone she is having an affair with. The expense evidence proves months of systematic deception about work travel and relationship fidelity together. I need to investigate further to identify who Diane is meeting during these fake business trips. The receipts show consistent patterns suggesting ongoing relationship rather than casual encounters or one-time mistakes. Diane's affair partner must be someone she can coordinate travel schedules with for regular meetings. The systematic nature of deception suggests careful planning and premeditation, rather than spontaneous attraction or temporary affair. I searched through Diane's other business documents looking for more evidence of her affair activities. Her calendar shows business trips that do not match actual pharmaceutical industry conference schedules or events. I research pharmaceutical industry websites and find discrepancies between Diane's claimed meetings and actual business activities. Many of her supposed conferences do not exist or happen on different dates than claimed. Diane creates elaborate lies about business obligations to justify her romantic getaways with an affair partner. The deception involves forging business justifications and probably fraudulent expense reporting to her employer as well. Her affair activities could violate company policies about personal conduct and expense fraud simultaneously together. I realize Diane risks her career along with our marriage through her systematic deception and lies. The evidence suggests professional misconduct beyond just personal betrayal of wedding vows and relationship trust. Diane's affair involves potential fraud against her employer through false expense claims and fake business travel. Tonight, I will continue investigating Diane's business travel deception to gather more concrete evidence of adultery. The hotel receipts provide starting point, but I need additional proof of her affair partner's identity. I suspect Diane meets someone from her professional network during these fake business trips regularly. The expense patterns suggest ongoing relationship with someone who can coordinate travel schedules and locations consistently. I need to identify this person and document their relationship systematically for future legal proceedings, potentially. Diane's systematic deception deserves systematic consequences that match her months of lies and betrayal of trust. The business angle provides opportunities for professional consequences beyond just personal relationship destruction and divorce proceedings. I plan to use Diane's own professional standards and company policies against her affair activities and fraud. Corporate ethics violations could destroy her career, along with our marriage through her own poor choices. Tomorrow, I will research pharmaceutical industry regulations and her company's specific policies about employee conduct and expense reporting. I spend the entire weekend investigating Diane's business travel expenses while she visits her sister out of town. Her credit card statements reveal systematic patterns of fraud spanning 8 months of fake business trips. Every supposed solo conference includes double hotel charges, expensive dinners for two, and luxury spa treatments. I find receipts for romantic restaurants that cost more than my weekly grocery budget consistently. Champagne bottles and premium room service charges appear on every hotel bill during her travels. Diane pays for couples massage treatments and romantic spa packages during supposed client meetings. The financial evidence shows systematic deception rather than occasional mistakes or spontaneous decisions during travel. Her affair involves careful planning and coordination with someone who shares these expensive, romantic experiences. I calculate that Diane spends over $3,000 monthly on affair activities disguised as business expenses. The systematic nature proves premeditation and ongoing relationship rather than casual encounters or temporary attraction with coworker. I cross-reference Diane's credit card charges with her company expense reports to find discrepancies and potential fraud. Diane claims business meals and standard hotel accommodations for reimbursement while actually paying for luxury romantic experiences. She submits fake receipts for legitimate business expenses while hiding personal affair costs from her employer. The expense fraud involves systematic deception of both her company and our marriage through financial lies. I discover Diane creates 2 separate expense categories to hide romantic costs from business reimbursement claims. Her company pays for fake business expenses, while Diane personally funds affair activities with joint credit cards. The financial deception proves systematic planning rather than accidental overspending during legitimate business travel activities. Diane risks her professional career through expense fraud violations that could result in termination and legal action. Her company has strict policies about personal use of business expense accounts and fraudulent reimbursement claims. I realize Diane's affair involved professional misconduct that provides opportunities for corporate consequences beyond personal relationship destruction. I research pharmaceutical industry regulations and discover strict ethics policies about employee relationships with competitor companies. Professional associations have clear guidelines about conflicts of interest and confidential information sharing between competing firms. Diane's industry takes corporate espionage and competitive intelligence violations seriously due to valuable proprietary information and client data. Sales representatives have access to confidential pricing, customer lists, and strategic information that competitors would value highly. Romantic relationships between competing company employees create obvious security risks and ethical violations that companies monitor carefully. I suspect Diane's affair partner works for a competing pharmaceutical company based on travel patterns and expensive entertainment expenses. The industry connection would explain their ability to coordinate travel schedules and justify business trip expenses easily. Diane's affair could involve potential corporate espionage concerns beyond just personal relationship betrayal and expense fraud violations. Her company would take competitive intelligence threats seriously and investigate thoroughly if reported with evidence. I hire a private investigator to identify Diane's affair partner and document their relationship with photographic evidence. The investigator has experience with corporate fraud cases and understands pharmaceutical industry regulations and competitive concerns completely. He agrees to focus on identifying the affair partner's employer and documenting potential conflict of interest violations. The investigator will track Diane's travel patterns and photograph her with affair partner during upcoming business trips. Professional documentation will provide concrete evidence for both divorce proceedings and potential corporate whistleblowing about ethics violations. I explain the expense fraud evidence and systematic deception patterns to help guide his investigation strategy. The investigator suggests focusing on hotel surveillance and restaurant locations, where Diane meets her affair partner regularly. Professional documentation will strengthen any corporate complaints about employee misconduct and competitive intelligence concerns significantly. The investigator understands the importance of maintaining confidentiality while gathering evidence for multiple potential legal proceedings and complaints. The private investigator begins surveillance during Diane's next business trip to Chicago, scheduled for this week. I provide him with hotel information, restaurant reservations, and travel itinerary based on her credit card charges. The investigator will document Diane's activities and identify her affair partner through photographic evidence and background research. He has contacts in the pharmaceutical industry who can help identify competing company employees and potential conflicts of interest. Professional surveillance will provide concrete evidence of systematic deception and potential corporate ethics violations together completely. The investigator will focus on documenting professional misconduct rather than just personal relationship betrayal for maximum legal impact. His experience with corporate fraud cases makes him ideal for gathering evidence about expense fraud and competitive intelligence concerns. Authorize comprehensive investigation including background checks on Diane's affair partner and their employer company policies. The professional approach ensures admissible evidence for both divorce proceedings and potential corporate whistleblowing complaints about systematic misconduct. Within 1 week, the private investigator identifies Daniel Rodriguez as Diane's affair partner and romantic travel companion. Daniel works as senior sales representative for PharmaCorp, a direct competitor to Diane's employer MedTech Solutions. The investigator provides photographic evidence of Diane and Daniel checking into hotels together as romantic couple. Hotel surveillance footage shows them arriving together, sharing rooms, and behaving intimately throughout their stays. Restaurant photos prove they conduct romantic dinners while both claim business travel to their respective employers. Daniel's company credit card charges match Diane's travel dates and locations, proving coordinated deception between competing company employees. The investigator documents systematic affair relationships spanning 8 months with potential competitive intelligence implications for both employers. Professional surveillance proves both employees violate their company's ethics policies about relationships with competitor personnel and confidential information security. Daniel's background check reveals access to confidential pricing information and customer data that would benefit Diane's employer significantly. The investigator's report includes comprehensive evidence of expense fraud by both Diane and Daniel during affair activities. Both employees submit false business expense reports while conducting personal romantic relationship during company travel time. Hotel bills show luxury accommodations and premium services far exceeding standard business travel allowances and company policies. Restaurant expenses include expensive wine, champagne, and romantic dinners that clearly violate business meal reimbursement guidelines and regulations. Both companies have strict policies about personal use of business expense accounts and fraudulent reimbursement claims that result in termination. The systematic expense fraud provides grounds for immediate disciplinary action and potential legal proceedings against both employees. Photographic evidence proves intentional deception rather than accidental mistakes or misunderstanding of company expense policies and regulations. The investigator documents potential criminal fraud charges based on systematic false expense reporting over 8 months of affair activities. Both employees face serious professional and legal consequences for their coordinated expense fraud and ethics violations. I discover additional evidence of potential corporate espionage during Diane and Daniel's affair relationship through their communications. The investigator finds text messages discussing confidential client information and competitive pricing, strategies between the affair partners. Diane shares proprietary MedTech customer data with Daniel while he provides PharmaCorp competitive intelligence in return for romantic relationship. Their communications prove systematic sharing of confidential information that violates both companies' security policies and legal agreements. The corporate espionage concerns add serious legal implications beyond just expense fraud and personal relationship betrayal issues. Both companies would pursue aggressive legal action against employees who share confidential information with competitors during romantic affairs. Federal regulations about pharmaceutical industry competitive intelligence make their information sharing potentially criminal rather than just civil violations. The investigator recommends immediate reporting to both companies' compliance departments and potentially federal authorities about systematic corporate espionage activities. Diane and Daniel face career destruction and possible criminal charges for their information sharing during affair relationship. I research both companies' employee handbooks and compliance policies to understand disciplinary procedures for ethics violations. MedTech Solutions has zero-tolerance policy for relationships with competitor employees and immediate termination for expense fraud violations. PharmaCorp maintains similar policies about competitive intelligence security and fraudulent expense reporting that result in immediate disciplinary action. Both companies participate in industry ethics programs that share information about employee violations and blacklist problematic personnel across pharmaceutical sector. Termination for ethics violations would make both Diane and Daniel unemployable in pharmaceutical industry due to reputation damage permanently. The investigator confirms that corporate whistleblowing about systematic ethics violations would trigger immediate investigations and likely termination proceedings. Professional consequences would extend beyond just losing current employment to include industry blacklisting and career destruction completely. I realize corporate revenge through ethics complaints would prove more devastating than divorce proceedings alone for systematic betrayal. Diane values her professional reputation and career advancement above everything, including our marriage and personal relationships entirely. The evidence package includes photographic proof, financial records, communications, and timeline documentation proving systematic misconduct by both employees. I have comprehensive evidence of expense fraud, competitive intelligence violations, and ethics policy breaches that warrant immediate corporate investigations. The private investigator recommends anonymous reporting to both companies' compliance departments to trigger professional disciplinary proceedings and investigations. Anonymous whistleblowing protects me from potential retaliation, while ensuring both affair partners face appropriate corporate consequences for systematic misconduct. The evidence quality meets corporate investigation standards and will likely result in immediate suspension pending thorough compliance reviews. Both companies take competitive intelligence and expense fraud seriously due to regulatory requirements and industry reputation concerns significantly. I plan to submit anonymous reports to human resources and compliance departments at both MedTech Solutions and PharmaCorp simultaneously. The corporate consequences will destroy both affair partners' careers, while I maintain plausible deniability about evidence sources and reporting activities completely. Instead of confronting Diane directly about her affair with Daniel, I developed a strategic plan for corporate revenge. Diane built her entire identity around professional success and career advancement in pharmaceutical industry completely. Her reputation and self-worth depend on maintaining perfect professional image and advancement opportunities at MedTech Solutions consistently. I realize that destroying Diane's career will hurt her more than divorce proceedings or personal confrontation ever could. Corporate consequences will provide lasting punishment that matches her systematic deception and betrayal over 8 months of lies. Anonymous whistleblowing protects me from retaliation, while ensuring both affair partners face appropriate professional disciplinary action and termination. The pharmaceutical industry has strict ethics policies about competitor relationships and expense fraud that result in immediate consequences. Diane's systematic violations provide overwhelming evidence for corporate investigations and disciplinary proceedings that she cannot deny or minimize. I plan to use her own professional standards and company policies against her affair activities systematically. Corporate revenge ensures lasting consequences that follow Diane throughout her career and industry reputation permanently and completely. I research MedTech Solutions' employee handbook and compliance policies to understand exact procedures for reporting ethics violations. The company has detailed whistleblower protection policies and anonymous reporting systems for employee misconduct and policy violations. Ethics Hotline allows anonymous reporting with comprehensive evidence submission through secure online portal and telephone systems. MedTech takes competitive intelligence violations seriously due to federal regulations and industry oversight of pharmaceutical companies and practices. Employee relationships with competitor personnel require disclosure and often result in reassignment or termination depending on circumstances. Systematic expense fraud constitutes grounds for immediate termination and potential criminal referral to law enforcement agencies. The company participates in industry ethics sharing programs that blacklist terminated employees across pharmaceutical sector permanently. Diane's violations involve multiple policy breaches that warrant comprehensive investigation and disciplinary action according to handbook procedures. Anonymous reporting triggers mandatory investigation regardless of evidence source or reporting party identity protection completely. Corporate policies provide perfect framework for systematic revenge against Diane's career and professional reputation in industry. I study PharmaCorp's similar policies about employee conduct and competitive intelligence security to ensure both companies investigate simultaneously. Daniel's employer maintains equally strict policies about relationships with competitor employees and confidential information sharing that violate security protocols. Both companies use similar anonymous reporting systems and compliance investigation procedures that protect whistleblower identity while ensuring thorough reviews. Pharmaceutical industry regulations require companies to investigate competitive intelligence concerns aggressively due to federal oversight and regulatory compliance. Daniel's access to confidential customer data and pricing information makes his relationship with Diane a serious security violation. PharmaCorp's zero-tolerance policy for competitive intelligence breaches results in immediate termination and industry blacklisting for violations. The company's compliance department has reputation for thorough investigations and aggressive disciplinary action against policy violators consistently. Anonymous reporting to both employers simultaneously ensures comprehensive consequences for both affair partners without coordination between companies. Dual corporate investigations will maximize professional damage while protecting my anonymity and legal position throughout proceedings completely. The evidence package contains photographic proof, financial records, communications, and timeline documentation that meets corporate investigation standards completely. Hotel surveillance footage shows Diane and Daniel checking in together as couple during claimed business travel periods. Restaurant photographs prove romantic dinners while both submitted business meal expense reports to their respective employers fraudulently. Credit card records demonstrate systematic expense fraud spanning 8 months of coordinated deception and false reimbursement claims. Text message communications reveal sharing of confidential customer information and competitive pricing data between affair partners regularly. The investigators' report includes professional analysis of policy violations and regulatory compliance concerns for both companies. Photographic evidence proves intentional misconduct rather than accidental mistakes or misunderstanding of company policies and procedures. Financial documentation shows systematic fraud rather than isolated incidents or poor judgment during business travel activities. The evidence quality exceeds corporate investigation standards and will trigger immediate suspension pending comprehensive compliance reviews and disciplinary proceedings. My revenge strategy focuses on anonymous reporting that triggers automatic corporate investigations without revealing my involvement or knowledge. I will submit identical evidence packages to both companies' ethics hotlines and compliance departments simultaneously for maximum impact. Anonymous reporting protects me from potential retaliation, while ensuring both affair partners face appropriate consequences for systematic misconduct. The timing will coincide with Diane's next scheduled business trip to maximize embarrassment and professional disruption during investigation. Corporate investigations take precedence over personal relationships and will consume both employees' time and energy completely. Anonymous whistleblowing appears as concerned employee or industry insider rather than betrayed spouse seeking personal revenge against unfaithful wife. The professional approach maintains moral high ground while delivering devastating consequences for systematic betrayal and deception over months. Corporate policies ensure thorough investigations regardless of reporting source or motivation behind anonymous complaints and evidence submission. Both companies must investigate competitive intelligence concerns due to regulatory requirements and industry oversight of pharmaceutical sector practices. I plan the timing of anonymous reports to maximize professional disruption and corporate investigation impact on both affair partners. Submitting reports during Diane's next business trip will create immediate embarrassment and suspicion about her travel activities and expenses. Corporate investigations require immediate suspension of suspected employees pending completion of compliance reviews and disciplinary proceedings completely. The timing ensures Diane faces professional humiliation while conducting affair activities with Daniel during supposed business travel periods. Both companies will coordinate investigations once they discover mutual employee involvement in competitive intelligence violations and policy breaches. Industry ethics sharing programs will flag both employees for systematic misconduct that affects their permanent professional reputations. The coordinated timing creates maximum chaos in both affair partners' professional lives, while I maintain complete anonymity. Corporate consequences will dominate their attention, while I prepare divorce proceedings and asset protection strategies simultaneously. Professional destruction provides perfect revenge that matches systematic nature of their deception and betrayal over 8 months. Anonymous reporting requires careful preparation to avoid revealing my identity or involvement in evidence-gathering activities completely. I will submit reports through public internet connections and anonymous email accounts that cannot be traced to personal information. The private investigator's professional report provides legitimate source for evidence without revealing personal motivation or betrayed spouse involvement. Corporate compliance departments investigate all anonymous reports regardless of source credibility or reporting party identity verification requirements. Anonymous whistleblowing appears as industry insider or concerned employee, rather than personal revenge from betrayed marriage partner. The professional evidence quality speaks for itself without requiring detailed explanation of investigation methods or motivation behind reporting. Corporate policies protect anonymous reporters and focus on misconduct evidence rather than source verification or identity confirmation procedures. Both companies must investigate potential competitive intelligence violations due to regulatory requirements regardless of reporting party anonymity. Anonymous approach ensures maximum plausible deniability while delivering devastating professional consequences for systematic affair and misconduct activities. The corporate revenge strategy provides lasting consequences that extend beyond divorce proceedings or personal relationship destruction alone completely. Professional termination and industry blacklisting will follow both affair partners throughout their careers and damage earning potential permanently. Diane's professional identity and self-worth depend entirely on career success and advancement opportunities in pharmaceutical industry consistently. Corporate consequences attack the foundation of her identity rather than just personal relationships that she clearly devalues based on systematic affair. Daniel faces identical professional destruction that eliminates his ability to support a fair relationship financially or professionally going forward. Industry blacklisting ensures both employees cannot easily rebuild careers or maintain luxury lifestyle that affair activities required. Corporate revenge provides appropriate punishment for systematic deception while maintaining legal and moral high ground throughout proceedings. The professional approach focuses on misconduct consequences rather than personal retaliation or emotional revenge against unfaithful spouse. Anonymous reporting protects my reputation while ensuring appropriate justice for months of systematic betrayal and lies about relationship and professional activities. I finalize corporate revenge strategy and prepare anonymous evidence submission for both companies' ethics departments and compliance investigations simultaneously. The timing will coincide with Diane's next business trip scheduled for next week to maximize professional disruption and embarrassment. Anonymous reporting triggers automatic investigations that will consume both affair partners' professional attention while I prepare divorce proceedings. Corporate consequences provide perfect revenge that destroys careers built through systematic deception and professional misconduct over months. Both companies take competitive intelligence violations seriously and will pursue aggressive disciplinary action against policy violators consistently. Industry reputation damage ensures lasting consequences that follow both employees throughout pharmaceutical sector and career advancement opportunities. The systematic nature of evidence proves intentional misconduct rather than mistakes that warrant progressive discipline or second chances. Corporate revenge delivers appropriate justice while maintaining anonymity and legal protection throughout investigation and disciplinary proceedings completely. Tomorrow, I submit anonymous reports that will destroy both affair partners' professional lives and career prospects permanently. I work with my private investigator to compile comprehensive evidence package for both corporate compliance departments simultaneously. The documentation includes hotel receipts showing double occupancy charges during claimed solo business travel periods. Restaurant bills prove expensive romantic dinners, while both employees submitted business meal expense reports fraudulently. Credit card statements demonstrate systematic expense fraud spanning 8 months of coordinated deception between competing company employees. Photographic evidence shows Diane and Daniel checking into luxury hotels together as romantic couple during business trips. Hotel surveillance footage confirms intimate behavior and shared accommodations that violate both companies' ethics policies completely. Text message communications reveal sharing of confidential customer information and competitive pricing strategies between affair partners. The investigator provides professional analysis explaining policy violations and regulatory compliance concerns for pharmaceutical industry. Financial records prove systematic fraud rather than isolated incidents or accidental expense reporting mistakes. The evidence quality exceeds corporate investigation standards and will trigger immediate disciplinary action and suspension procedures. My investigator discovers additional evidence of corporate espionage during Diane and Daniel's affair relationship activities systematically. Communications between affair partners include sharing of proprietary customer lists and confidential pricing information regularly. Diane provides Daniel with MedTech's upcoming product launch strategies and marketing plans for competitive advantage purposes. Daniel shares PharmaCorp's customer acquisition targets and sales territory information with Diane during romantic encounters consistently. Their information exchange violates federal regulations about pharmaceutical industry, competitive intelligence, and corporate security protocols. Both employees have signed confidentiality agreements that specifically prohibit sharing proprietary information with competitor personnel. The corporate espionage evidence adds serious legal implications beyond expense fraud and personal relationship policy violations. Federal authorities investigate systematic corporate espionage cases that involve confidential information sharing between competing companies. Both employers face regulatory scrutiny if they fail to address competitive intelligence breaches appropriately and aggressively. The investigator recommends immediate reporting to corporate security departments along with compliance and human resources offices. I research federal regulations governing pharmaceutical industry competitive intelligence to understand legal implications of evidence completely. The FDA and other regulatory agencies monitor information sharing between competing pharmaceutical companies due to patient safety concerns. Corporate espionage in pharmaceutical industry can affect drug pricing, patient access, and market competition that impacts public health. Federal penalties for systematic competitive intelligence violations include criminal charges and substantial financial penalties for companies. Employees who violate competitive intelligence regulations face potential criminal prosecution and permanent industry blacklisting consequences. Both MedTech and PharmaCorp participate in federal compliance programs that require aggressive investigation of security breaches. The companies must report competitive intelligence violations to federal authorities within specific timeframes after discovery. Diane and Daniel's information sharing creates liability for both employers and potential federal investigation of industry practices. Corporate compliance departments take competitive intelligence seriously due to regulatory oversight and potential federal prosecution risks. The evidence provides grounds for federal whistleblowing complaints beyond just corporate ethics violations and policy breaches. The investigator expands surveillance to document additional instances of corporate espionage and competitive intelligence sharing activities. Photography shows Diane and Daniel reviewing confidential documents during romantic dinners at expensive restaurants together. Hotel room surveillance captures them discussing proprietary customer information and competitive strategies during intimate encounters. Audio recordings prove systematic sharing of confidential pricing data and marketing plans between competing company employees. The investigator documents specific instances where affair partners exchange proprietary information for competitive advantage purposes clearly. Business meeting surveillance shows both employees using confidential information obtained from romantic partner during client presentations. Customer data sharing provides both companies' competitors with unfair advantages in sales negotiations and account management. The systematic information sharing proves intentional corporate espionage rather than accidental disclosure during personal relationship activities. Professional documentation meets federal investigation standards for competitive intelligence violations and potential criminal prosecution proceedings. The expanded evidence package demonstrates ongoing conspiracy between competing company employees for mutual competitive benefit. I discovered Diane maintains secret cloud storage accounts containing confidential medtech customer information and pricing data. The digital evidence shows systematic collection and organization of proprietary company information for sharing purposes. Daniel has similar digital storage containing PharmaCorp confidential information that he shares with Diane regularly during affair. Both employees use encrypted communication apps to coordinate information sharing while avoiding corporate security monitoring systems. Cloud storage accounts contain months of proprietary documents, customer lists, and competitive intelligence gathered during affair relationship. The digital evidence proves premeditated corporate espionage rather than spontaneous information sharing during romantic encounters accidentally. Both employees violated computer security policies by storing confidential information on personal cloud accounts and devices. Corporate IT security protocols prohibit unauthorized copying and storage of proprietary information on personal systems completely. The digital evidence provides additional grounds for immediate termination and potential criminal referral to federal authorities. Cloud storage documentation proves systematic corporate espionage that warrants federal investigation beyond corporate disciplinary action. The private investigator provides professional timeline documenting escalation of corporate espionage activities during affair relationship development. Initial information sharing began as casual conversation during romantic encounters, but evolved into systematic competitive intelligence exchange. Both employees became more aggressive about gathering confidential information as affair relationship deepened emotionally and physically. Document analysis shows increasing sophistication in information sharing methods and security evasion techniques over time. The timeline proves intentional corporate espionage rather than accidental disclosure during personal relationship activities between competitors. Professional analysis demonstrates clear violation of federal competitive intelligence regulations and corporate security protocols consistently. Both employees showed increasing disregard for employer loyalty and confidentiality agreements as a fair relationship progressed systematically. The timeline documentation will support federal investigation and potential criminal prosecution for systematic corporate espionage activities. Corporate compliance departments require timeline analysis to understand scope and duration of security breaches completely. Professional investigation standards ensure admissible evidence for both corporate disciplinary action and potential federal criminal proceedings. I compile evidence packages for submission to both companies' security departments along with compliance and ethics offices. Each package contains photographic proof, financial records, communications, timeline documentation, and professional analysis of policy violations. Corporate security evidence focuses on competitive intelligence breaches and confidential information sharing between affair partners systematically. Compliance evidence emphasizes expense fraud and ethics policy violations that warrant immediate disciplinary action and termination. The comprehensive packages meet corporate investigation standards and federal reporting requirements for competitive intelligence violations completely. Professional presentation ensures thorough investigation regardless of anonymous reporting source or whistleblower identity verification procedures. Both companies must investigate potential federal violations due to regulatory oversight and compliance program requirements consistently. Evidence quality exceeds corporate investigation standards and will trigger immediate suspension pending comprehensive security reviews. The packages provide overwhelming proof of systematic misconduct that cannot be dismissed or minimized by either company. Professional documentation protects anonymous reporting while ensuring appropriate consequences for corporate espionage and ethics violations. Anonymous submission requires careful coordination to maximize impact while protecting my identity throughout corporate investigations completely. I plan simultaneous submission to both companies' security departments and compliance offices for comprehensive investigation coverage. Anonymous reporting appears as concerned industry insider or competitor employee rather than betrayed spouse seeking personal revenge. Professional evidence quality speaks for itself without requiring detailed explanation of investigation methods or reporting motivation. Both companies must investigate competitive intelligence concerns regardless of anonymous reporting source due to regulatory requirements. Corporate policies protect anonymous whistleblowers and focus on misconduct evidence rather than source verification procedures consistently. Simultaneous reporting ensures comprehensive consequences for both affair partners without coordination between competing companies. Anonymous approach maintains plausible deniability while delivering devastating professional consequences for systematic corporate espionage activities. The professional investigation standards protect my legal position while ensuring appropriate justice for months of systematic betrayal. Tomorrow, I submit comprehensive evidence packages to both MedTech Solutions and PharmaCorp Security and Compliance Departments simultaneously. Anonymous reporting will trigger immediate investigations that consume both affair partners' professional attention and energy completely. Corporate consequences provide perfect revenge that destroys careers built through systematic deception and competitive intelligence violations. Both companies take security breaches seriously and will pursue aggressive disciplinary action against employees who violate policies. Industry blacklisting ensures lasting consequences that follow both employees throughout pharmaceutical sector career opportunities permanently. The systematic nature of evidence proves intentional misconduct that warrants immediate termination and potential criminal referral. Corporate revenge delivers appropriate justice while maintaining anonymity and legal protection throughout investigation proceedings. Professional consequences match systematic betrayal through comprehensive career destruction and industry reputation damage. Both affair partners will face immediate suspension and likely termination for violations that cannot be denied or minimized. Tuesday morning at exactly 9 o'clock, I submit anonymous reports to both companies' ethics hotlines simultaneously. I use public library computers and anonymous email accounts that cannot be traced to my personal information. The comprehensive evidence packages include photographic proof, financial records, communications, and timeline documentation of systematic misconduct. Each submission targets specific policy violations and competitive intelligence concerns that trigger mandatory investigation procedures. MedTech Solutions receives evidence of Diane's expense fraud and confidential information sharing with competitor employee. PharmaCorp gets identical documentation about Daniel's ethics violations and corporate espionage activities with affair partner. Both reports emphasize regulatory compliance concerns and federal competitive intelligence violations that require immediate attention. Anonymous submissions appear as concerned industry insider reporting systematic security breaches and policy violations. Professional evidence quality ensures thorough investigation regardless of reporting source or whistleblower identity verification. Corporate ethics departments must investigate all anonymous reports due to regulatory requirements and legal compliance obligations. The timing coincides with Diane's scheduled business trip to maximize professional embarrassment and investigation disruption. Within 2 hours, both companies acknowledge receipt of anonymous ethics complaints and begin preliminary investigation procedures. MedTech's compliance department contacts corporate security to review competitive intelligence allegations against Diane Thompson immediately. PharmaCorp's ethics office initiates similar investigation into Daniel Rodriguez's potential policy violations and security breaches. Both companies follow identical procedures for anonymous whistleblowing complaints that protect reporter identity while ensuring thorough review. Corporate security departments coordinate with human resources to determine appropriate disciplinary action based on evidence quality. Federal regulations require pharmaceutical companies to investigate competitive intelligence violations aggressively due to regulatory oversight. Both employers must document investigation procedures and findings for potential federal reporting requirements consistently. Anonymous reporting triggers automatic suspension protocols pending completion of comprehensive compliance reviews and security assessments. Corporate policies prioritize security concerns over employee privacy during investigation of potential competitive intelligence violations. The professional evidence quality exceeds investigation standards and will result in immediate disciplinary action against both employees. Diane receives emergency call from her supervisor demanding immediate return from Chicago business trip for urgent meeting. Her manager explains that corporate compliance requires her immediate presence for investigation into anonymous ethics complaint. Diane panics, trying to understand what complaint could involve her professional conduct or company policy violations. She asks for details, but Compliance Department maintains confidentiality, pending comprehensive investigation and interview procedures. Diane cancels romantic plans with Daniel and rushes back home to face corporate investigation that threatens her career. Her supervisor seems serious and concerned about allegations that could result in disciplinary action or termination. Corporate compliance schedules immediate interview for tomorrow morning with Security Department representatives and legal counsel present. Diane realizes the anonymous complaint involves serious allegations that warrant comprehensive investigation and potential federal reporting. She contacts attorney for advice about corporate investigation procedures and employee rights during compliance reviews. Diane's panic proves she understands serious nature of corporate ethics violations and potential career consequences. Daniel faces identical emergency recall from PharmaCorp Compliance Department for immediate investigation into anonymous ethics complaint. His supervisor explains serious allegations about competitive intelligence violations and potential security breaches during employment. Daniel attempts to minimize concerns, but Compliance Department maintains strict confidentiality pending comprehensive investigation procedures. Corporate security schedules mandatory interview with legal counsel and human resources representatives for evidence review. Daniel's emergency return from Chicago creates suspicion about coordination with MedTech employee investigation timing. Both companies follow parallel investigation procedures for competitive intelligence violations that suggest coordinated misconduct. Daniel contacts attorney for legal representation during corporate investigation that could result in termination and industry blacklisting. His panic reveals understanding that anonymous complaint involves serious, career-threatening allegations and evidence. Corporate investigation procedures indicate potential federal reporting requirements for competitive intelligence violations in pharmaceutical industry. Daniel realizes professional consequences could extend beyond employment termination to include criminal referral and prosecution. Both corporate investigation teams discover evidence of coordinated affair relationship and systematic policy violations through anonymous submissions. MedTech Security reviews Diane's travel expenses and finds patterns of fraudulent business trip reporting over 8 months. Hotel receipts show double occupancy charges and luxury accommodations that exceed business travel guidelines significantly. Restaurant bills prove expensive, romantic dinners charged as business meals while conducting personal relationship activities. PharmaCorp's investigation reveals similar expense fraud patterns and policy violations by Daniel during identical travel dates. Corporate security departments coordinate investigation once they discover mutual employee involvement in competitive intelligence violations. Both companies realize systematic corporate espionage concerns require federal reporting and potential criminal referral procedures. Anonymous evidence proves intentional misconduct rather than accidental policy violations during legitimate business activities. Investigation teams prepare comprehensive reports documenting security breaches and competitive intelligence sharing between affair partners. Corporate legal departments review federal reporting requirements for competitive intelligence violations in pharmaceutical industry. Anonymous whistleblowing protects my identity while ensuring comprehensive investigation of both affair partners' systematic misconduct. Corporate policies focus on evidence quality rather than reporting source verification or whistleblower motivation assessment. Both companies must investigate potential federal violations regardless of anonymous reporting circumstances due to regulatory compliance requirements. Professional evidence presentation appears as legitimate industry insider rather than personal revenge from betrayed spouse. Anonymous approach maintains moral high ground while delivering devastating professional consequences for systematic betrayal. Corporate investigation procedures provide legal framework for appropriate justice without personal involvement or retaliation risks. Both companies take competitive intelligence seriously due to federal oversight and regulatory compliance program participation. Anonymous reporting triggers automatic suspension and investigation protocols that consume both employees' professional attention completely. The professional approach ensures thorough investigation while protecting my legal position and anonymity throughout proceedings. Corporate consequences provide perfect revenge that matches systematic nature of deception and professional misconduct. Corporate investigation teams interviewed Diane and Daniel separately about anonymous allegations and evidence of policy violations. Both employees attempt to minimize expense fraud concerns and deny competitive intelligence sharing during professional activities. Investigation evidence proves systematic misconduct that cannot be explained as accidental violations or misunderstanding of policies. Photographic proof shows romantic relationship and coordinated deception that violates multiple corporate policies and regulations. Financial records demonstrate systematic expense fraud spanning 8 months of false business trip reporting and reimbursement. Communications reveal confidential information sharing that constitutes corporate espionage between competing company employees consistently. Both employees face immediate suspension, pending completion of comprehensive investigation and disciplinary review procedures. Corporate legal departments prepare recommendations for termination and potential criminal referral to federal authorities. Investigation findings exceed policy violation thresholds and warrant aggressive disciplinary action according to corporate procedures. Both companies document investigation results for federal reporting requirements and regulatory compliance obligations. Federal reporting requirements mandate both companies notify regulatory authorities about competitive intelligence violations discovered during investigation. Corporate espionage in pharmaceutical industry affects patient safety and market competition that warrants federal oversight. Both MedTech and PharmaCorp must report security breaches and competitive intelligence sharing to appropriate regulatory agencies. Federal investigation procedures focus on systematic violations rather than individual employee misconduct exclusively. Regulatory authorities review industry practices and competitive intelligence sharing patterns for broader oversight concerns. Both companies cooperate with federal investigation to maintain regulatory compliance and avoid corporate penalties. Anonymous whistleblowing serves public interest by exposing systematic competitive intelligence violations affecting pharmaceutical industry. Federal oversight ensures appropriate consequences for corporate espionage that extends beyond individual employment termination. Regulatory investigation protects industry integrity and competitive fairness through aggressive enforcement of intelligence sharing regulations. The anonymous reporting achieves broader impact beyond personal revenge through federal regulatory involvement. Anonymous corporate reporting succeeds in triggering comprehensive investigation and immediate suspension of both affair partners. Professional consequences provide perfect revenge that destroys careers built through systematic deception and competitive intelligence violations. Both Diane and Daniel face immediate employment termination and industry blacklisting for policy violations that cannot be denied. Corporate investigation procedures ensure thorough documentation and appropriate disciplinary action for systematic misconduct over 8 months. Federal reporting requirements add regulatory oversight and potential criminal consequences for competitive intelligence sharing. Anonymous approach maintains my legal protection while delivering devastating professional consequences for betrayal. Corporate revenge attacks foundation of both employees' professional identity and career advancement opportunities permanently. Industry reputation damage ensures lasting consequences that follow both affair partners throughout pharmaceutical sector employment. The systematic evidence proves intentional misconduct that warrants comprehensive professional destruction and regulatory investigation. Perfect justice comes through using corporate policies against systematic betrayal and professional misconduct appropriately. Both pharmaceutical companies launch immediate comprehensive investigations into their employees' potential misconduct and security violations. MedTech Solutions assembles investigation team, including corporate security, compliance officers, human resources, and legal counsel. The team reviews anonymous evidence package containing photographic proof, financial records, and communications documenting systematic policy violations. Corporate auditors begin forensic examination of Diane's expense reports spanning 8 months of suspicious business travel. Hotel receipts and credit card statements undergo detailed analysis to identify fraudulent reimbursement claims and personal expenses. PharmaCorp initiates parallel investigation with similar team composition and evidence review procedures for Daniel's alleged violations. Both companies coordinate investigation efforts once they discover mutual employee involvement in competitive intelligence sharing. Federal regulations require aggressive investigation of pharmaceutical industry competitive intelligence violations due to regulatory oversight. Corporate legal departments prepare for potential federal reporting requirements and criminal referral procedures if evidence supports systematic misconduct. Investigation procedures prioritize security concerns over employee privacy during review of potential corporate espionage activities. Corporate auditors discover systematic expense fraud patterns proving intentional deception rather than accidental policy violations or mistakes. Diane's expense reports claim single occupancy hotel rooms, while receipts show double occupancy charges consistently. Business meal reimbursements include romantic dinners with expensive wine and champagne that exceed corporate guidelines significantly. Spa treatments and luxury hotel amenities appear on personal credit cards during claimed business travel periods. Corporate travel policy violations include unauthorized upgrades and personal entertainment expenses disguised as business activities. Forensic accounting reveals systematic false reporting spanning 8 months of coordinated deception with a fair partner. Daniel's expense patterns show identical fraud techniques and timing that suggest coordinated misconduct between competing employees. Both companies discover expense fraud totaling thousands of dollars in fraudulent reimbursement claims and policy violations. Corporate policies mandate immediate termination for systematic expense fraud that exceeds accidental mistake thresholds. Investigation findings prove intentional misconduct that warrants aggressive disciplinary action and potential criminal referral procedures. Corporate security departments expand investigation to examine potential competitive intelligence violations and information sharing between affair partners. Digital forensics teams analyze company devices and cloud storage accounts for unauthorized data access and transfer. Diane's company laptop contains confidential customer information and pricing data that she accessed during personal time. Email analysis reveals sharing of proprietary information with external contacts, including competitive intelligence transfer. Daniel's digital footprint shows similar patterns of unauthorized information access and potential corporate espionage activities. Both employees violated computer security policies by storing confidential information on personal devices and cloud accounts. Corporate IT security discovers encrypted communication channels used to coordinate information sharing while avoiding monitoring systems. Digital evidence proves systematic competitive intelligence sharing that violates federal regulations and corporate security protocols. Both companies face potential regulatory scrutiny for security breaches and inadequate monitoring of confidential information access. Investigation findings warrant immediate termination and federal reporting for competitive intelligence violations in pharmaceutical industry. Human resources departments coordinate with legal counsel to determine appropriate disciplinary action based on investigation findings. Both companies maintain zero-tolerance policies for expense fraud and competitive intelligence violations that result in immediate termination. Corporate legal teams review federal reporting requirements for competitive intelligence sharing between pharmaceutical industry competitors. Employee handbook policies clearly state termination consequences for relationships with competitor personnel and confidential information sharing. Both Diane and Daniel signed confidentiality agreements that specifically prohibit sharing proprietary information with external parties. Investigation evidence exceeds policy violation thresholds that warrant progressive discipline or second chances for misconduct. Corporate attorneys prepare termination documentation and potential criminal referral based on systematic fraud and espionage evidence. Federal regulations require pharmaceutical companies to report competitive intelligence violations to regulatory authorities within specific timeframes. Both companies coordinate legal response to ensure compliance with federal reporting requirements and regulatory oversight obligations. Legal analysis confirms that investigation findings support immediate termination and potential criminal prosecution for systematic misconduct. Both companies implement immediate suspension protocols pending completion of comprehensive investigation and disciplinary review procedures. Diane receives formal suspension notice requiring surrender of company property, including laptop, phone, and security credentials. Her access to corporate systems and confidential information gets revoked immediately to prevent further security breaches. PharmaCorp issues identical suspension notice to Daniel with similar security restrictions and system access revocation. Both employees lose company benefits and compensation during suspension pending investigation completion and disciplinary decision. Corporate security escorts both employees from premises to ensure compliance with suspension protocols and prevent retaliation. Suspension procedures include confidentiality agreements prohibiting discussion of investigation with external parties or media contacts. Both companies notify relevant departments about employee suspension and temporary reassignment of responsibilities. Investigation teams continue evidence review and witness interviews during suspension period to ensure comprehensive findings. Suspension protocols protect corporate interests while ensuring due process rights during disciplinary investigation procedures. Corporate investigation teams interview colleagues and clients to assess potential damage from competitive intelligence sharing activities. Diane's coworkers report suspicious behavior, including excessive phone calls and secretive meetings during business hours. Client interviews reveal concerns about confidential information security and potential competitive intelligence breaches during sales presentations. Daniel's colleagues describe similar suspicious activities and concerns about unauthorized information access during employment period. Both investigation teams document potential business impact from competitive intelligence sharing and security protocol violations. Customer confidence concerns warrant additional security measures and client notification about potential information breaches. Corporate reputation damage requires comprehensive communication strategy to maintain client relationships and industry standing. Investigation findings suggest broader security culture problems that require systematic policy review and employee training. Both companies face potential client defection and competitive disadvantage from systematic security breaches. Investigation scope expands to assess full impact of competitive intelligence violations on business operations and client relationships. Federal regulatory authorities receive notification about competitive intelligence violations discovered during corporate investigation procedures. FDA oversight requirements mandate reporting of pharmaceutical industry security breaches that could affect patient safety and market competition. Both companies submit preliminary reports documenting investigation findings and potential competitive intelligence sharing between employees. Federal investigation procedures focus on industry-wide patterns rather than individual employee misconduct exclusively. Regulatory authorities coordinate with corporate investigation teams to ensure comprehensive evidence collection and documentation. Federal oversight includes review of corporate security policies and competitive intelligence prevention measures. Both companies cooperate fully with federal investigation to maintain regulatory compliance and avoid corporate penalties. Regulatory investigation timeline extends beyond corporate disciplinary procedures to ensure comprehensive industry oversight. Federal authorities review broader implications of competitive intelligence sharing for pharmaceutical industry competition and patient safety. Corporate cooperation with federal investigation demonstrates commitment to regulatory compliance and industry integrity. Investigation findings prove systematic misconduct that exceeds corporate policy violation thresholds for progressive discipline or rehabilitation. Both employees demonstrated intentional deception and systematic fraud that cannot be attributed to training deficiencies or policy misunderstanding. Photographic evidence shows deliberate coordination and planning that proves malicious intent rather than accidental violations. Financial records demonstrate sophisticated fraud techniques that require intentional deception and systematic planning over months. Communication evidence reveals contempt for corporate policies and deliberate circumvention of security measures. Investigation teams conclude that both employees cannot be rehabilitated through training or progressive discipline due to systematic nature of violations. Corporate policies require immediate termination for competitive intelligence violations and systematic expense fraud. Both companies prepare termination documentation based on investigation findings that exceed all policy violation thresholds. Federal reporting requirements add regulatory oversight dimension that prevents lenient disciplinary action or employee retention. Investigation conclusions support aggressive disciplinary action, including termination and potential criminal referral for systematic misconduct. Both corporate investigation teams prepare comprehensive reports documenting systematic policy violations and recommending immediate termination procedures. Investigation findings exceed all thresholds for progressive discipline and demonstrate systematic fraud that warrants aggressive response. Federal reporting requirements add regulatory compliance dimension that mandates termination and potential criminal referral. Corporate legal teams prepare termination documentation and coordinate with federal authorities for potential prosecution procedures. Both companies schedule termination meetings following investigation completion and legal review of disciplinary recommendations. Industry reputation concerns require aggressive response to competitive intelligence violations that could affect client confidence. Investigation reports document comprehensive evidence supporting termination decisions and federal reporting requirements. Corporate boards review investigation findings and approve recommended disciplinary action, including termination and regulatory reporting. Both employees face immediate termination pending completion of investigation procedures and federal coordination. The corporate investigation succeeds in documenting systematic misconduct that warrants maximum disciplinary response and regulatory oversight. Friday morning, both MedTech Solutions and PharmaCorp terminate Diane and Daniel for systematic policy violations and competitive intelligence breaches. Corporate human resources departments deliver termination notices citing expense fraud, ethics violations, and unauthorized information sharing with competitors. Both employees lose all benefits, stock options, and severance packages due to misconduct termination classifications. Termination letters reference federal reporting requirements and potential criminal prosecution for competitive intelligence violations in pharmaceutical industry. Corporate security escorts both former employees from premises while confiscating company property and revoking system access completely. Industry ethics sharing programs immediately flag both employees for systematic misconduct that prevents employment at competing firms. Pharmaceutical industry associations receive termination notifications that trigger blacklisting procedures for competitive intelligence violations. Both companies issue internal communications about termination decisions to reinforce security policies and compliance expectations. Federal authorities receive formal reports documenting competitive intelligence sharing and potential criminal violations requiring prosecution review. The termination decisions create permanent career consequences that extend throughout pharmaceutical industry employment opportunities. Industry blacklisting procedures ensure both former employees cannot find employment in pharmaceutical sector due to competitive intelligence violations. Professional associations maintain databases of terminated employees that companies consult during hiring processes and background investigations. Diane's professional reputation suffers permanent damage that prevents career recovery in marketing or sales roles industry-wide. Daniel faces identical blacklisting that eliminates employment opportunities throughout pharmaceutical and related healthcare industries completely. Corporate networks share termination information through informal channels that reinforce formal blacklisting procedures and industry oversight. Both former employees lose professional certifications and memberships due to ethics violations that warrant disciplinary action. Industry conferences and networking events become unavailable due to professional reputation damage and association blacklisting. Employment agencies refuse to represent former employees terminated for competitive intelligence violations due to liability concerns. Background check companies flag both individuals for systematic misconduct that affects employability across multiple industries. The industry reputation damage creates lasting consequences that extend beyond immediate employment termination to include permanent career destruction. Both former employees attempt damage control by contacting attorneys and public relations firms for reputation rehabilitation assistance. Legal counsel explains limited options for challenging termination decisions based on documented evidence of systematic misconduct. Public relations experts decline representation due to overwhelming evidence and industry reputation damage that cannot be rehabilitated effectively. Employment attorneys review termination documentation and advise against wrongful termination claims due to comprehensive evidence packages. Both individuals face potential criminal prosecution that makes legal challenges counterproductive and potentially self-incriminating. Corporate attorneys prepare defenses against potential lawsuits while coordinating with federal authorities for criminal investigation procedures. Industry legal experts confirm that competitive intelligence violations warrant termination and criminal referral in pharmaceutical sector. Both companies maintain comprehensive legal protection due to thorough investigation procedures and documented policy violations. Legal challenges would require admitting to misconduct while facing potential criminal prosecution for same activities. Professional reputation damage makes legal challenges ineffective for career rehabilitation, even if successful against termination decisions. Federal investigation expands beyond individual employee misconduct to examine industry-wide competitive intelligence patterns and security concerns. Regulatory authorities review both companies' security policies and competitive intelligence prevention measures for adequacy assessment. Federal oversight includes examination of industry practices that enable systematic competitive intelligence sharing between employees. Both companies implement enhanced security measures and employee monitoring to prevent future competitive intelligence violations. Industry associations receive federal recommendations for improved competitive intelligence prevention and detection programs. Federal authorities coordinate with pharmaceutical industry oversight bodies to strengthen regulatory compliance and competitive fairness. Regulatory investigation. Findings influence industry-wide policy changes and enhanced oversight procedures for competitive intelligence. Both companies face ongoing federal monitoring and enhanced reporting requirements for competitive intelligence prevention. Federal involvement demonstrates serious nature of competitive intelligence violations and regulatory commitment to industry oversight. The federal investigation creates lasting impact beyond individual employee punishment to include industry-wide competitive intelligence prevention measures. Both former employees struggle with unemployment and financial hardship due to industry blacklisting and reputation damage. Diane loses our house due to inability to maintain mortgage payments without pharmaceutical industry salary. Her luxury lifestyle becomes impossible without high-paying sales position and professional advancement opportunities. Daniel faces similar financial consequences as blacklisting prevents employment in pharmaceutical or related industries. Both individuals attempt career transitions to unrelated fields, but background checks reveal competitive intelligence violations. Employment opportunities outside pharmaceutical industry offer significantly reduced compensation and advancement potential. Financial stress creates additional relationship pressure between former affair partners who blame each other for consequences. Both face potential bankruptcy due to legal fees and lost income from permanent career destruction. Financial hardship prevents maintaining luxury lifestyle that affair activities required and facilitated previously. The economic consequences prove lasting and severe due to industry blacklisting and permanent reputation damage. Media coverage of competitive intelligence investigation creates additional reputation damage for both former employees throughout local community. Local business publications report on pharmaceutical industry security breaches and competitive intelligence violations affecting regional companies. Both individuals become publicly associated with corporate espionage and systematic misconduct through media coverage. Professional networks learn about termination decisions through industry publications and association communications. Community reputation suffers as local residents learn about competitive intelligence violations and affair scandal. Media attention prevents low-profile career transitions and reputation rehabilitation in other industries or geographic areas. Online search results permanently associate both names with competitive intelligence violations and corporate misconduct. Social media discussions amplify reputation damage throughout professional and personal networks extensively. Public awareness of misconduct creates lasting social consequences beyond professional career destruction. The media coverage ensures permanent reputation damage that follows both individuals throughout future employment and relationship attempts. Both companies pursue civil litigation against former employees for damages resulting from competitive intelligence violations and systematic misconduct. Corporate legal teams calculate financial damages from lost competitive advantage and security breach remediation costs. Litigation seeks recovery of fraudulent expense reimbursements and investigation costs from systematic policy violations. Both employees face potential personal liability for corporate damages resulting from competitive intelligence sharing activities. Legal proceedings create additional financial pressure while preventing employment opportunities during litigation period. Civil lawsuits include non-compete enforcement and confidentiality agreement violations that restrict future employment options. Corporate litigation demonstrates serious commitment to competitive intelligence prevention and employee accountability. Both companies coordinate legal strategies to maximize recovery while reinforcing industry deterrent effects. Civil litigation timeline extends reputation damage and financial consequences for months or years beyond termination. The legal proceedings create lasting consequences that reinforce career destruction and financial hardship for both former employees. Professional licensing boards review competitive intelligence violations for potential disciplinary action against individual certifications and credentials. Both individuals hold pharmaceutical industry certifications that require ethical conduct and competitive intelligence compliance. Professional boards investigate systematic misconduct for potential license revocation or suspension proceedings. Certification loss would prevent employment opportunities even outside pharmaceutical industry and related fields. Professional disciplinary action creates additional reputation damage and employment barriers throughout healthcare and related sectors. Both individuals face potential loss of professional credentials that required years of education and experience to obtain. Professional board investigations operate independently from corporate and federal proceedings, but consider identical evidence. Disciplinary action reinforces industry-wide competitive intelligence prevention through professional accountability measures. Certification revocation creates permanent professional consequences that cannot be appealed or rehabilitated through time. The professional licensing consequences add another layer of career destruction beyond employment termination and industry blacklisting. Anonymous corporate reporting succeeds in creating comprehensive professional destruction for both affair partners through systematic consequences. Career termination, industry blacklisting, federal investigation, civil litigation, and professional licensing action combine for devastating impact. Both individuals lose everything meaningful, including careers, financial security, professional reputation, and industry standing permanently. The systematic consequences match systematic betrayal through comprehensive career destruction and lasting reputation damage throughout industries. Professional revenge proves more devastating than personal confrontation by attacking foundation of both individuals' identity and self-worth. Corporate policies provide perfect framework for appropriate justice while maintaining legal protection for anonymous reporting. Industry accountability measures ensure lasting consequences that extend beyond immediate employment to include permanent career destruction. Both former employees learn that systematic misconduct earns systematic consequences through comprehensive professional destruction. The corporate revenge strategy achieves perfect justice while protecting my anonymity and legal position throughout proceedings completely. 6 months after the corporate investigation destroyed both affair partners' careers, I finalized my divorce from Diane with complete victory. The systematic evidence of expense fraud and competitive intelligence violations provided overwhelming proof for divorce proceedings. Diane cannot contest asset division due to her documented financial theft and systematic deception over 8 months. I keep our house, savings accounts, and retirement funds, while Diane faces financial ruin from legal fees. Her unemployment and industry blacklisting prevent any claim to spousal support or future earnings. The court assigns full responsibility for marital debt to Diane based on expense fraud evidence and misconduct. Divorce attorney confirms that systematic betrayal and financial theft strengthened my legal position completely. Anonymous corporate reporting protected my reputation while ensuring appropriate consequences for systematic betrayal and lies. Community members support my position while viewing Diane as someone who destroyed her own marriage and career. The divorce proceedings prove that strategic corporate revenge provides better outcomes than emotional confrontation or personal retaliation alone completely. Diane's life collapses entirely as she faces unemployment, financial ruin, and complete social isolation throughout our community. She moves back with her parents after losing our house due to inability to maintain mortgage payments. Diane's pharmaceutical career is permanently finished due to industry blacklisting and competitive intelligence violation records. Her professional reputation prevents employment in marketing, sales, or related fields throughout multiple industries consistently. Former colleagues refuse association with Diane to protect their own careers from scandal contamination and reputation damage. Social media connections disappear as professional network abandons her due to systematic misconduct and ethics violations. Diane applies for retail and service jobs that pay fraction of her previous pharmaceutical salary. Background checks reveal competitive intelligence violations that concern even non-pharmaceutical employers about character and trustworthiness. Financial stress forces Diane to sell luxury items and downsize lifestyle dramatically from previous professional success. The comprehensive consequences prove that corporate revenge creates lasting destruction that matches systematic betrayal appropriately and completely. Daniel faces identical professional destruction and financial hardship as pharmaceutical industry. Blacklisting prevents career recovery permanently. His reputation damage extends beyond immediate termination to include industry-wide employment barriers and professional isolation. Daniel's affair relationship with Diane ends immediately under stress of unemployment and mutual blame for consequences. Both former lovers turn against each other while facing financial ruin and professional destruction from their choices. Daniel attempts career transition to unrelated fields, but competitive intelligence violation record prevents employment opportunities. His financial obligations continue while income disappears, creating bankruptcy risk and long-term economic hardship. Former professional networks abandon Daniel to protect their own reputations from association with systematic misconduct. Social isolation increases as community learns about affair scandal and competitive intelligence violations through media coverage. Daniel realizes that systematic betrayal earned systematic consequences through comprehensive career destruction and reputation damage. The professional revenge proves more devastating than personal confrontation by destroying foundation of identity and self-worth permanently. My home renovation business thrives as I channel energy previously wasted, supporting unfaithful wife's career into professional growth. Community members prefer working with contractors who demonstrate integrity and strong character during personal challenges and adversity. Word-of-mouth referrals increase dramatically as clients respect my handling of systematic betrayal with dignity and strategic thinking. New customers specifically mention my situation when explaining why they chose my services over competitors. Business reputation grows stronger through demonstration of character under pressure and strategic problem-solving abilities. I hire additional employees and expand service offerings based on increased demand and client confidence. Professional success comes from maintaining integrity, while others destroy themselves through systematic deception and poor choices. Community support validates strategic approach while providing business advantages and networking opportunities. Financial independence grows as business expansion replaces need for dual-income household with unfaithful partner. The professional growth proves that integrity and strategic thinking create lasting success, while betrayal destroys everything meaningful. Federal investigation concludes with recommendations for enhanced pharmaceutical industry, competitive intelligence prevention, and oversight measures. Both MedTech Solutions and PharmaCorp receive recognition for thorough investigation and cooperation with federal authorities. Industry associations implement enhanced competitive intelligence training and detection programs based on investigation findings. Federal oversight continues monitoring pharmaceutical sector for systematic competitive intelligence sharing and security breaches. Regulatory authorities use case as example for industry-wide competitive intelligence, prevention, education, and compliance programs. Both companies become leaders in competitive intelligence prevention through enhanced security measures and employee monitoring. Industry reputation improves through demonstrated commitment to regulatory compliance and competitive fairness. Federal recognition validates corporate investigation procedures and anonymous reporting systems for employee misconduct. Regulatory involvement demonstrates serious nature of competitive intelligence violations and commitment to industry integrity. The federal outcome proves that anonymous corporate reporting serves public interest beyond personal revenge through industry improvement. I begin dating again after divorce finalization and discover increased respect from women who admire strategic handling of betrayal. Professional women appreciate intelligence and integrity demonstrated through corporate revenge rather than emotional retaliation or violence. Dating prospects increase as community reputation grows through demonstration of character during personal crisis and systematic betrayal. Women respect strategic thinking and dignity maintained during difficult marriage dissolution and career destruction of unfaithful spouse. My approach attracts high-quality partners who value integrity and strategic problem-solving over emotional reactivity. Business success and community respect make me a desirable partner for professional women seeking stable relationships. Dating becomes easier as reputation for honesty and strategic thinking attracts compatible partners who share similar values. Community support provides social validation and networking opportunities for meeting quality romantic prospects. Professional growth and character demonstration during crisis prove attractive qualities for long-term relationship partners. The personal benefits extend beyond revenge satisfaction to include improved dating prospects and relationship opportunities. Anonymous corporate reporting becomes a legendary example of strategic revenge that community members reference and admire consistently. Friends and colleagues ask advice about handling betrayal and systematic deception based on my successful approach. Local business leaders use my strategy as case study for conflict resolution and strategic problem-solving techniques. Community members share story as example of maintaining dignity while achieving appropriate justice for systematic betrayal. Professional networks discuss corporate revenge strategy as innovative approach to employee misconduct and competitive intelligence violations. Business associations reference case as example of anonymous reporting effectiveness and corporate accountability measures. The story becomes teaching tool about character importance and strategic thinking during personal and professional challenges. Community reputation grows as people admire intelligence and integrity demonstrated through systematic revenge approach. Local media coverage positions me as expert on strategic problem-solving and maintaining dignity during personal crises. The legendary status proves that strategic revenge creates lasting positive reputation, while betrayal destroys everything meaningful. Diane and Daniel's affair partnership completely dissolves under financial stress and mutual blame for comprehensive consequences. Both former lovers blame each other for career destruction, while refusing responsibility for systematic misconduct and poor choices. Financial hardship prevents maintaining relationship that required luxury lifestyle and expensive romantic activities previously. Unemployment stress destroys romantic attraction as both individuals face survival concerns rather than affair excitement and passion. Former affair partners avoid each other to prevent additional scandal and reputation damage in community. Both realize that systematic betrayal destroyed everything meaningful, including careers, relationships, financial security, and professional reputation permanently. Their mutual destruction proves that affairs based on deception cannot survive when facing real consequences and adversity. Community members observed their relationship collapse while supporting victims who demonstrated character and integrity throughout crisis. The affair destruction provides additional satisfaction, proving that betrayal partnerships cannot survive systematic consequences and reality. Perfect justice includes destroying not only individual careers, but also relationships that cause systematic betrayal and deception. Today I live with complete satisfaction, knowing that perfect justice was served through strategic corporate revenge rather than emotional retaliation. Anonymous reporting used appropriate channels while delivering devastating consequences that match systematic betrayal and deception over 8 months. Corporate policies provided legal framework for destroying careers while maintaining moral high ground and legal protection throughout proceedings. Both affair partners lost everything meaningful, including careers, financial security, professional reputation, and community standing permanently. Industry accountability measures ensure lasting consequences that prevent career recovery or reputation rehabilitation in pharmaceutical sector. Federal involvement demonstrates public benefit from exposing competitive intelligence violations beyond personal revenge satisfaction. Community support validates strategic approach while providing business advantages and social benefits that enhance life quality. Professional growth and character demonstration attract quality romantic prospects and networking opportunities throughout community. The systematic consequences match systematic betrayal through comprehensive destruction of both individuals' professional and personal lives completely. Strategic corporate revenge proves more effective than emotional confrontation by creating lasting justice that cannot be reversed or minimized over time. If you think cheating spouses who commit expense fraud deserve to lose their careers along with their marriages, hit that like button to support corporate justice for betrayed partners. Have you ever discovered evidence of financial fraud during a cheating scandal? And would you report it to their employer? Share your workplace revenge stories in the comments, and let's discuss the most effective ways to use professional consequences against unfaithful partners. Make sure to subscribe for more stories where cheaters face career destruction along with relationship consequences. Next video. My husband's affair partner was my boss until I exposed them both to HR. To H.